Is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Vaishali Jain, and I'll be your moderator today. And thank you so much for joining us here at Starter Learning, a market leader in providing leadership and talent development solutions. We provide talent development solutions through our blended training approach, which is a mix of e-learning, classroom trainings, and live interactive sessions coming from industry experts such as CXOs from Fortune 1000 companies, Ivy League professors, and best-selling authors. And we're very excited to host today's webinar on women leadership, maximizing your potential. And presenting today's topic is Sheila Huda. Just a little bit about Sheila. Sheila is an independent, non-executive board member with over 30 years of operating executive and C-suite advisor experience. Ms. Huda has provided strategic direction, driven growth, and transformed Fortune 500 firms. She serves on the board of directors of Mutual of Omaha Insurance Company, a Fortune 400 financial services firm, serving on the risk and investment committees, and the board of Virtuous Investment Partners, a leading investment management firm, serving on the audit and finance and risk committees. Now, please bear in mind that this is an overview of a very robust topic, and we offer a collection of leadership management and business courses that can be tailored towards your specific requirements. So if you're interested in a further discussion, we can go ahead and schedule an appointment for you with one of our learning consultants through our website at starterlearning.com. And now I'd like to invite the Global Operations and Strategic Marketing Head at Starter Learning, Gaurav Bansal, to talk about the positive impacts of Starter Learning and how organizations across industries are benefiting from Starter Learning courses and other talent development solutions it has to offer. Gaurav?
Great, Vishali. Thank you so much for the introduction. And thank you, Sheila, for joining us today. It's an honor to host you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and share your details and your experience with us. Now, before we formally start the session, let me quickly take all of you through Starter Learning and going to share some details about it. We call it as a collaborated knowledge platform, bringing world's best business and leadership insights from, as Vishali said, Fortune 1000 leaders, best-selling authors, and Ivy League professors. It is essentially an e-learning platform based on micro-learning concept, which is also what we call it as just-in-time approach, which you can use at anywhere, anytime learning. You can take your courses at your own leisurely pace, on your tablet, on your mobile, on your laptop. And we do this with a broad catalog of offerings, which are also integrating a lot of customized learning plans through our global delivery capabilities. And most of our experts and trainers are from the top global organizations and universities like Harvard, Columbia, New York, Dartmouth, and other such institutions. Let me say each of our experts have more than 25 years of domain experience, including Sheila, and majority of them have been at the CXO level in their own organizations. All of us can only imagine the kind of rich knowledge and experience they have to share with us on this platform. And now talking about some of the courses and diversity, we have a course from CIO of United Nations, Atif Riazi, on organizational leadership. And then there is a course from Jean Dunn, who's the Chief Knowledge Officer at Cisco. We also have a course from Linda. She is a professor in Harvard on collaborative innovation. And needless to say, we have many more insights from Sheila as well here. And last but not the least, before we start the session, all these courses, all these programs, all these insights, and bite-sized videos are SCORM compliant, which ensures that they meet all the training compliances, all the essentials which are important for you to use them, to learn from them, at your leisurely pace on your mobile, tablet, and so on. Sincerely hope all of you are going to enjoy the session today. And over to you, Sheila, now. Thank you so much.
Thank
Vishali,
you,
I think.
Gaurav. Yeah.
Great. Thanks.
Yep. Okay. Thanks for that, Gaurav. I'll turn it over to Sheila in just a moment, but I'd just like to let people know why they made a great choice in attending this webinar. So with this webinar, we're going to learn about the challenges facing women in leadership roles and strategies for becoming successful. We'll go ahead and discuss the qualities a good leader should have, and in running an organization, and the ability to make hard decisions as well as learn from experience. Sheila's also going to talk about the most difficult challenges that women face, the evolving business landscape for women, and how to deal with those challenges. And today's webinar should really provide a roadmap to inspire innovation and effective leadership for women across industries. So I'm just going to go ahead and give you a quick overview of the logistics before we get started. To start with, you have the option to adjust the window size to your liking. So simply hit the escape key and you'll find the Zoom button on the top left corner of your GoToWebinar viewer. Also, everyone has been muted except for our presenters. So please feel free to submit any questions you have for the presenters in the questions pane, and we'll address them both throughout the session and the end of the session. So please feel free to go ahead and type those in. And finally, a PDF of today's slides are available in the handout section of your GoToWebinar viewer. So you can go ahead and access those. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over now to Sheila to present today's topic.
Vishali, I think you should also present your screen now.
I am sharing my screen.
Great, thank you.
But if it's not working, then I might be having some technical issues. It does look like my GoToMeeting is not responding. So if anybody has, if Himanshu, you have the slide. Apologies to everybody for the technical difficulty. It looks like that GoToMeeting is not responding for me. Himanshu, do you have the slides available there?
Let me present my slides.
Bring up. I apologize to everybody for the technical difficulty. Just give us one moment.
No problem, Vishali. No problem. Thank you. Sheila, hi. I think you can start now. We are on the screen, Women in Leadership. Over to you.
Yes. Thank you, Vishali. Thank you, Gaurav. And also thank you for Himanshu for helping us get over this minor glip. Good day to everyone who is participating in this webinar. I'm absolutely delighted to be here with all of you to share my experience and journey along the path to leadership. And as this page indicates, the table of contents, I will, over the next succeeding pages, highlight some key takeaways for you. Then I will share with you my concept of what leadership is, the key challenges that women face, and I will also share my personal story of what worked, what did not work, and what I really wished I had learned earlier. And then I'll share with you some of the approaches I used to overcome these challenges. I know that each of us has different experiences and situations. However, there's one common theme for success, And that is the result of being focused and determined and constantly learning. So it is through webinars like this, through role models, through courses you take, etc. It's this constant learning for improvement and seeking to be better. So with that, if we could change to the next page, page 7. Himanshu? Yeah. So this is what I hope all of you would get from this session. We have less than an hour together, and I hope that you will use this time to think and believe in yourself as a leader. Yes, you can. Everyone is a leader. Everyone has that potential. So take this time to think and believe in yourself. The second is, if you decide to make it happen, yes, it can. Develop a personal action plan. And as we talk through this webinar today, I hope you get some fresh ideas and perspectives of how others have done it, so you can learn from their experience. It will help you to jumpstart your own learning. And last and most important, I hope this will help enhance your confidence, raise your aspirations, because if others have done it, so can you. So, we have a few goals as we go through this webinar that I presented on this page as we walk through the next couple of pages. Okay. So now, what is leadership? And Himanshu, if you turn the page, what is leadership? This is really my definition of leadership that I'm sharing with you. Everyone may have a slightly different version, but essentially what a leader does is translates vision into reality. He or she, and let's use the word she because this is a women in leadership webinar. She establishes what matters to her, what is important, what is critical, and then she motivates and articulates the reason, and everyone follows through. So that's what essentially what a leader does. She sets the sights and the goals, and people follow through because the message and the vision is so compelling. But I want to share that good and true leadership also comes from the person being emotionally intelligent and self-aware. And the person brings up positive strategic change. She makes the world a better place for everyone. So I'm not talking of what I call the stupid or the bad leadership. I'm talking of something that is a higher level of leadership, someone who makes the world a better place for everybody. So that's my concept of leadership that I'm going to sort of talk through and share with you. Okay, so let's have a quick poll for all of you who are on this webinar. And before I go forward, I want to say one thing is that my concept of leadership is broader. It's across your company, your family, your community, and the whole world. For the rest of this webinar, we'll really focus and hone down on leadership in the workplace. So this poll is really focused on the workplace. What do you consider your biggest workplace challenge? You get 45 seconds to select one of the 4 options we presented. Okay, so I think we are coming to uh, the end of our 45 seconds. And Himanshu, if you could
That's it.
wait.
This is Vaishali. I'm back. Back on the line.
Go to the next page, page 12, the women rising to leadership, the key challenges. Okay, so, let's be honest. We talk of leadership and we talk of women in leadership, but it is not a level playing field. There are certain very unique challenges that very specifically apply to women. The first and foremost is, and all of us have witnessed this, have seen this, have experienced it. We have very few women at the top, few role models, and then not too many people, not too many women in the pipeline. The second is lack of access. Women are not really in the flow within companies. They're not in the right network. They don't have access to the right decision makers. The third, and this is really very troublesome, it is the issue of conscious and unconscious bias. Women have to prove themselves often to be twice, if not even 3 times better than other males who are in their same slot. And this impacts them because it trickles down to the fact that it impacts their career advancement opportunities, their promotions, their salaries, and you see all the discussion that's ongoing today in terms of gender and salary imbalances that are taking place. So unconscious bias is something we all face on a regular basis.
Hi, Sheila. I'm sorry. This is Vaishali. So my computer's back online. Apologies again for everybody. I have a quick question about conscious and unconscious bias. And I know that there is more awareness within organizations about this. Are you seeing more organizations do something in terms of training and making people and their employees realize that this is actually something and strategies to help combat some of that?
Very good question, Vishali. Yes, in the very recent past, maybe the last 2 years or so, I have seen and experienced some companies having special training for as people become managers and write evaluations, etc. But it is still pervasive, and it needs a higher level of determination across all organizations and at all senior levels, especially to remove some of this bias. Because there's always a concern when a woman comes up for promotion or when she's getting evaluated is how good is she? How committed is she? Will she stay through the long term? Are we going to invest enough in her that she will realize her potential, or will she suddenly step off? So it's a long work in process, but there has been a small start, even though it's not widespread.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good to know. Thank you.
The third point is, what I call the messy mid-career years. Typically, when people are in their mid-30s, they start generally getting considered there's a unbiased threat, implicit threat. There is over-competitive environments. Women are not in the flow. So some of these are negative aspects. And the last point, why there's so few women at the top and in leadership roles, is the lack of confidence. And I deliberately put this point as a last one because I see that as a consequence of all the earlier points. You know, when you're having an unconscious bias towards you, when you don't have good access, when you're loaded with family responsibilities, it all erodes your confidence. So it's really, lack of confidence really is a result of all the other issues that we've discussed. Okay, so we have another poll question, again, focused on what you consider the weakness in your career path. And I would like to mention here, you know, we are going to collect all your responses, and these will be discussed towards the end so that we can integrate all these points that, that come through. So we have around 45 seconds for you to decide on what you consider as your primary weakness in terms of your career progress.
So we have the poll results coming in, Sheila. People are starting to put in their responses. And it looks like 47%, 48% are saying recognition. About 21% say lack of goals. 16% say emotional intelligence. And 14% say lack of learning opportunities.
Okay, so we will take that there, and I think I agree with the majority, lack of recognition, and we will find some solutions to make that work. Vishali, just, you know, we had an earlier poll. So
yeah,
maybe as we go through, you could give those results also, or we could discuss it later.
absolutely. I can give those to you right now. The previous poll was, what do you consider your biggest workplace challenge? 35% said social norms. 26% said lack of access. 24% said equal opportunity, and 15% said gender bias.
So which was the largest one?
Social norms, 35%. Yep. And lack of access and equal opportunity were tied at about 25%.
Okay. Okay. So I'm seeing some very clear trends with the audience that are coming through, that is coming through, and hopefully as we go through, we'll focus on it and we'll try and find solutions. So on the next page, I'm going to share with you what worked for me. Some of it was just my situation, and some of which was some things I worked towards. So on this page, what worked for me, and this is my personal story, but right from the time I was a child, it was a natural trait. You know, I was ambitious, I dreamed big, I wanted big things to happen in my life. So that was a natural trait I had. I wasn't at that point thinking about leadership or anything, but I was just a very ambitious person. And I used to regularly make goals for myself and evaluate them every few months or years and change it. But I had some direction for my life. The second thing that worked for me is I was generally not afraid, never had any fear. I would jump into things, take on new responsibilities, whether I knew it or not, I just did it. The third is I I was resilient. I was determined, very positive. If things didn't work well, I bounced back quickly. Generally had a lot of energy and drive and determination. And I was recognized for delivering results. So I was known within my companies for someone who was not afraid, who you give her something, she will get it done, and she will do what it takes to succeed. So those were some things that came naturally to me. I just did it. That's the type of person I was. I also, when I think back, realize I was a continual learner. Earlier on, it was largely technical skills, but as I got more senior, more older, and I will share this on the next few pages, I started focusing much more on leadership and soft skills. And the last one is, and this I'm mentioning here is, I was involved with a lot of not-for-profits. I used to mentor some of my younger colleagues, and I did it to help people. But this inadvertently helped me in a positive way because it helped to shape my brand. Even though I did it unconsciously, it helped develop my brand. So these were some of the things that I did without knowing or thinking about leadership. But these were my personal traits that came naturally to me. I just went ahead and did it. Now, Vishali, if you could move to the next page. Now, there are many, many things I did not know, and I wish I did. So what I call this page is advice to my younger self. What I wish I knew earlier in life. And as we turn to that page, it's very clear from the points I made on my earlier page. I tried to do it on my own. At that time, I did not even know that I could seek help. There were others who could help me. That concept or that idea didn't come to me that I don't have to do everything in my life myself. There are senior people in the organizations. I can try and see if there are mentors or sponsors. I can try and seek advice from other people. Could be my boss. It could be more senior colleagues. But I did not. I just tried to do it all on my own. And, than there are today. And, I used to read about them in the papers and the business news, and I used to sort of emulate them from a distance. But you don't speak to people whom you don't know. So I did not seek help. And I put this in bold right up front for all of you because that is an important point we will discuss. The second, along the same lines, is building networks of allies or relationships. Again, I didn't know how important it was. Important to be part of the flow, belong to groups within organizations in a positive way, be part of that network to be in the flow. And that requires some level of work or effort. You just don't belong to a network. I mean, you may be lucky and have cool alumni networks and people who are there from your undergrad or college or whatever. But you have to build on those networks. You have to cultivate it. And I just didn't know or realize that importance.
So Sheila, we have a question that's come in, and that is, what would you say is the role of mentoring and sponsorship in female leadership?
I would say it's important, very important. And I would like to mention here the difference between a mentor and a sponsor. A mentor is really someone who can give you advice, who can give you guidance. It is support you, give you ideas, etc. A sponsor is a much more active role, someone who opens a door for you, someone who recommends you for a promotion, someone who takes a step outside the regular zone to give you an opportunity. So if life is perfect, you would always want a sponsor. But it is not easy to get these mentors and sponsors within an organization. It requires time, it requires building of that relationship. So in the beginning, if you are starting from scratch and you have no mentors or no sponsors, at least step up and talk to senior people and ask for their help. And a way you could ask is, could you, in a non-threatening way, can you guide me or can you give me some advice? What would you suggest? Developing a mentor or sponsor takes time. So as a first step out and ask for help, ask for advice, ask for guidance, but do it in a professional way so that you're not a bother to those people, etc. And with time, it will become a better relationship.
There's another question that has come in, and that's, do you think your earlier attitude was shaped by your environment growing up or family?
A mixture of both, Vishali. As you may have sensed from my background, I grew up in India. At that time, there were almost no women going into business or MBA programs. I was also the eldest in my family. I had no father. He died very young. So, I had to sort of make my life what I could make of it. There was limited support from any side. I had a very strong, stable family. So, in terms of love and care, etc. But there was no professional guidance at home. I had to go and seek it out. And so it was a mix of those traits of having to sort of do it yourself and make it happen for yourself that really shaped the person who I was in my earlier years. For the good and the bad, because sometimes, it took me a while to develop some of the softer skills and the leadership skills. So I had the technical skills, but not the softer skills that I want to emphasize on this webinar. So, as the stuff which I wish I knew earlier was seeking help, building networks and cultivating those networks, speaking up at meetings. Too often I see women, very talented, very knowledgeable, but they're too quiet at meetings. You have to have a voice or a presence. You have to become known. And with that, I'm talking about also building a brand or profile. Having a brand or being known for something within your company is very important. In my earlier days, all I did was go to work, put my head down and worked. And I did a superb job. But if you're not known within the company, when they are discussing promotions or big opportunities, you're not known, correct? So if you don't have a mentor or sponsor and you're not known, or you haven't built a network of allies across the organization, you may do a great job, but who knows you? You have nobody supporting you or speaking up for you. And that was an important lesson I did not know in my earlier years of my career. And the last one is, could have been more strategic in roles that led me faster to the C-suite. And again, a lot of this is because I did not have help or mentors or belong to networks. So when you try and do everything on your own, it's you don't always have the full strategic perspective. So this is the things I had known for the most part, I wish I had known in my earlier years. Okay, Vishali, if we go to the next page. Okay, so now, based on, what we know about leadership, the challenges we have, and sharing my experience of what worked and what did not work, and what I wished I knew, I'm sharing a couple of what I call strategies for you to consider. And this is something I hope will present ideas and perspectives for you so that you can sort of mold your own action plan going forward. And the first set is what I call the table stakes. Okay, now I call them table stakes is if you want to be professionally successful, these are the absolute requirements. I mean, you will not go anywhere in your career if these aspects are not in place. These are the bare minimum essentials that really will take you to leadership heights. So the first is identify and know your own leadership strength. I mean, what is it that sets you apart? What is your key differentiator? What is your strength? And every person is different, but every person is unique. You have so much to offer, but different things make you tick. Different things make you succeed. So know yourself, and it is courses like this and also other online things and books like the Myers-Briggs, which tells you what are your core strengths: extrovert, introvert, analytical, big picture thinking, numbers person, or someone who walks through their gut. You have to know what makes you successful. There are some skills like negotiation, conflict resolution, crisis management, decision making under pressure. They can be learned. They must be learned. There are enough of courses, online webinars, classes that you can attend. But take the effort to learn, because each of you is different and has a different level of strength. The second is, you can't succeed if you don't know where you're going. So have a goal, have a vision, have a plan. Be the best as what you do. If you're sloppy at your work, I mean, forget about being a leader. You have to be someone that if you're given responsibility, you will deliver. The fourth is the soft skills, the interpersonal skills. And I cannot emphasize this enough. You have to be known as a team player, someone who builds consensus, someone who has very good listening skills. You're a collaborative person. You're not a person who only seeks out for themselves. So a very high level of emotional intelligence and social intelligence. And the last thing is your integrity. You cannot be a leader if you don't have a pristine reputation. I'm talking the really high-end leadership. They are strong people with ethics, with values, with pristine reputations. Integrity should be the backbone of who you are. So these 5 points here are what I call table stakes. This is what is essential. This is ground zero. If you don't have this, forget about developing leadership skills. So please focus on this as you sort of make your plan, because this is ground zero, table stakes.
There's a question that's come in, Sheila, that's asking, how do you separate having allies from someone who's being patronizing? Do you think that there's a difference?
Well, a patronizing person is somebody who, An ally is a friend, it's a supporter, is a positive person who has your best interests in mind. A patron can also have your best interests in mind. There is a slight, maybe negative connotation, but I would suggest that if you have someone who is your patron and it's done with high ethics and high integrity, take that opportunity to leverage that relationship. You are basically seeking all help and support that you can get. As long as it's done with integrity, I would leverage all help that you receive.
Okay, great, thank you.
So Vishali, we turn to the next page. Okay. So this one, now that we've established the table stakes, I'm going to outline a couple of strategies, what I call the key intangibles. These are, not something that gets written about or it's something that you can touch and feel, but it's something you need to be vigilant about and implement as part of your action plan. And they worked for me, so I'm sort of sharing it with you to include for consideration in your action plan. Okay, so the first one is what I call you own your career. It is up to you to manage your professional and personal development. Nobody will do it for you. You control it, you own it. So, forget about saying XYZ didn't help me, whatever. You want something, you go out and get it. So I want to make sure that everyone develops this understanding. You own your career. Despite all the challenges, despite all the difficulties, only you can make the real difference. And the first point, and this is something that we've already started touching on through our earlier conversation, is build a power and support base for your personal and organizational impact. This is, you can't do it alone. You need help. And how do you get that help? Seek out mentors and sponsors. Now, I know that everyone cannot have a mentor, cannot have a sponsor. Then go out and seek help or seek advice from someone you trust. And for the women on this call, yes, go out and seek the successful men in your company. Ask them for advice, ask them for guidance, show them you're interested in a strong career path. Go to the successful men also, because there may not be many successful women in your companies. So seek out help from the successful men. Have no qualms about that. And most often, if you seek help from someone senior, they will typically help you. They can advocate for you, open doors, champion, give you guidance, give you feedback. And most important, if they are your true sponsors, provide you with experiences necessary for senior leadership, give you stretch assignments. So seek help and go out. The second is build your network of allies and collaborations. This could be anything: employee resource groups, women's groups across the companies, Hispanic associations, Asian associations, people who want to think of focusing more on the next wave of technology. But be part of something bigger and have a large group of people, ideally more senior, but at least your peers who are part of your network. Because this will keep you in the flow of opportunities. It will also give you ideas for better career consideration. And it needs to be two-way, correct? You have to also help these people. support them, share credit, blend an agenda. You know, it can't be just you wanting help or you wanting support in your career. You can help people in different ways. So you have to be perceived as someone who gives but also takes, correct? You give and take, and you help everyone become more successful. And the last thing on this page is develop the organizational savvy. You know, be aware of your environment. Who are the decision makers? Who controls the decisions? What are the tough battles? What are the power and political dynamics? You know, you have to be aware if to be successful in a career, to be successful and be perceived as a leader, you have to know how things work within your company. And why this is important is, and I'm always talking of doing things ethically and with integrity, but as decisions get made, you know, you can't just go to a meeting and say, present an idea or present a project decision and expect people will buy into it. What you have to do is work the channels, understand how decisions are made and pre-sell it. Get people's input into that decision and how it is made. So you can influence that decision in your favor. And a lot of time this means also reworking the project, reworking it so that you get the best output. But the point is, it may take more time, it may make extra work for you because you have to do the analysis, you've got to do the project, but you've also got to get buy-in. But you cannot expect someone to support your decision or to be in your favor if you haven't pre-sold them, if you haven't engaged them. So this is the point I'm making here of organizational savvy. And I want to emphasize here that women, for the most part, don't do this. They don't build this network of allies. They don't pre-sell their decisions. They don't work the channels. And these are important aspects to consider as you go forward in your career and to be perceived as a leader. Vishali, if we go to the next page. Okay, so the next one is increase your visibility. And again, we have touched on this earlier, and I shared my personal experience, but you have to be known. You can't be someone who sits at their desk, does a good job, but puts her head down. No one knows you. So, you know, you have to be someone who is, you do it with integrity, but if you see someone, they should remember you. Have an elevator pitch. Who are you? What do you do? How do you make yourself different? How are you different? What is special about you? Be involved in key initiatives or projects. Share credit. You know, make sure others around you are recognized. Don't take credit for yourself. Share it. Give it outwards, because that will make you be perceived as a leader. Personal impact is how you dress, how you carry yourself, how you speak, what's your tone, very important. Speak up at meetings, you know, you have to be known. You can't be like a wallflower. Speak up, have a point of view, don't be shy. Even if what you think you say is not important, it is important. Your voice needs to be heard. Ask for responsibility. You know, you don't have to be perfect to know anything. You can take the responsibility and learn on the job. You can get help, but step up, speak up, and push yourself beyond your comfort zone. Because unless you do it, and unless you jump in, you won't get that confidence. And confidence is only about jumping in and doing it. Nobody can give you confidence. So forget about fear, just jump in and do it. And always be conscious of your professional brand. How are you being perceived? How do you speak? How do you answer the phone? How do you dress? How do you present yourself? What projects you lead? You know, how people perceive you. Be conscious of all these things. And a lot of this may apply to you in different ways, but these are things for you to consider as ideas to incorporate into your action plan based on my experience. And Vishali, I think we have a few minutes, so we go to the next page. So these are my parting thoughts to you, to all of you. It sort of encapsulates what we have talked, but leadership and success is a personal thing. You know, you have to define what it means for you. And in the future, there's going to be an even higher premium on leadership. And the reason is, with automation, with robotics, with artificial intelligence, all the routine jobs will be taken away. The only thing that will drive success in careers will be people who can be leaders, who think creatively, who innovate, who can carry and foresee the future, drive a vision. So leadership has a premium. It will help you overcome difficult situations. You can step up into bigger roles where you have more impact and influence. It enables you to have positive change, to be a change agent. You know, what can be bigger and more important than stepping up into big roles and impacting big change, correct? But that is what leadership is. And it comes with responsibility. You know, you can't just be a leader and the benefit is for you. It's a responsibility to yourself, to your family, your work team, your organization, and the full world. And I closed with this because this responsibility for leadership is a holistic approach that I talk about in terms of leadership. And each of you has it within you to be a leader. You know, you have to have a focus, a goal, a plan, follow through on some of the ideas that we have discussed, and implement it. Do it. You can be the leader you want to be. And with that, over to you, Vishali.
Well, that was great. Thank you so much, Sheila, for sharing your insights and your experience with us. We have a couple of minutes and there's time for one question. So one question that came in is, what if your ideas are not heard because of gender bias? How do you deal with that?
Extremely good question. Couple of things. First is, remember the point I made about pre-selling your ideas? So plan your time well, and before your ideas get presented, go to people who will be making that decision and ask them for their thoughts on it. How could this be worked? Does it make sense? And maybe that person will suggest changes or fine-tuning of your ideas, and it becomes an even better and even richer idea. And then when you present it, there's a greater likelihood of it getting accepted. So I agree, for women, it's a harder process because you're overcoming gender bias, and then you got to do this buy-in and pre-sell it. But once you get one or two ideas of yours accepted, it sort of builds into your brand and your leadership, correct? You get known as someone who gives ideas. Her ideas are accepted. So success begets success. You just have to start the hard work earlier on to make it happen.
That's great advice. Thank you. Thanks, Sheila. And I know we have just a few moments left, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Gaurav Bansal again. He's going to share some details of an exclusive offer from Starter Learning for all of the attendees who are present here today. So Gaurav, over to you.
Hey, thanks. Hey, thanks, Vishali. Thank you so much. Hey, Sheila, thank you so much for these great insights. This was definitely, I really enjoyed this session, and I'm really hoping all the participants did enjoy it. Now, for all of you logged in and been part of the session, we appreciate your time and we want to offer you a great opportunity. If you really think that this content is of help to you, it kind of enables you, empowers you to go further in your professional and personal life, feel free to log into sorderlearning.com now or send us an email. We will ensure that there is a flat 25% discount on our annual program and the yearly library, which we would like to offer to all the attendees of this session. Feel free if you want to reach out to us for any queries, any consulting, you want to speak to Sheila, you would like to get any of your queries resolved, feel free to email us back. My email ID is gaurav@sadatv.com, or you can also send us at contactors@sadarlearning.com. Feel free to reach out. Thank you, Vishali. Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Gaurav. Okay, so now
we want to give the summary of that last question and what the answers were.
Sure. We did 2 polls. What would you consider your weakness in career progress? I think that's the one we, that was the last one we did. It was 50% recognition.
Yeah.
And 20% lack of goals, 16% emotional intelligence, and 14% lack of learning opportunities.
And then the second poll talked about social norms. Yeah. And the last one, we had a third poll on the last page, but maybe we didn't dwell on that. So that's fine. It sort of encapsulates the other. But I want to say that recognition comes from, you know, having this network of allies who speak up for you, that you become known, that you become visible. And that's really what I would like everyone to take away from this webinar.
Yes, well, thank you. Thanks for that, Sheila. That's a great piece of advice, and you certainly provided a lot of information that I think will be helpful to all of us. So just regarding everything that Gaurav said for a moment, if anybody is interested in some of the Starter Learning solutions that are being offered, please go ahead and log on to starterlearning.com to register. And if there are any other concluding thoughts for the day, Sheila, do you have any other concluding thoughts?
The last one is, you know, that I've shared throughout is every one of us is a leader. As long as you have a plan and a goal and are focused on it, you know, use your action plan to find your solutions, get ideas from a variety of sources, webinars, courses, leading online, but with focus and effort, everyone can be a leader.
Great concluding thoughts. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you again. And thanks to all of you for joining us today. If you come up with any additional questions, feel free to send them to contact us at starterlearning.com at any time. And we hope you found today's webinar informative, and we look forward to seeing you back here with us very soon. Again, apologies for the technical glitches in the beginning of the webinar, but please do feel free to tell your friends and colleagues about our webinars and other courses. And I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you. Thanks to everybody, and thank you, Sheila.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.